Good, thanks. Good, thanks. I see. I think everybody's either. I think looking at the list there, there's quite a few there without their cameras on. But Francois, did you get my email this morning?
No, what was that, mate?
You're cheering.
Oh, am I? Shit. Yeah. Okay. All good. Yep.
I explained in my email. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
I asked for all those in favour and didn't get a response.
That sums it up. No confidence in this character.
No Rex.
No, Rex is an apology.
Oh, there's Joe. Hi, Joe.
Hi.
That screen not working.
Yeah, from my point of view, I explained to Helen, Tanya, and hang on, I've gone off Francois that I haven't quite got my head around all of this, and which might have been quite obvious at the last meeting. So therefore, I asked Francois if he'd mind chairing for today in Rex's absence.
Oh, that's
Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Chris.
Is Paul joining online?
Paul is. Yeah, I think he's.
You online, Paul?
Paul, we can't see anybody on the screen, so we're sort of guessing everyone's there.
Yeah.
Yes, I can confirm that all members are present apart from the chair.
Okay. Right. Well, let's get started.
Online.
So we won't be able to see any hands up, I guess will be the problem.
Yes. True.
Or questions?
Can other people see people on the screen?
Can you see us, guys?
Yes.
I can see you, but there's quite a lot of names up there, but no pictures. Are you there? Stephen?
Yes, we can see you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we need to be able to see you guys if anybody's got their hand up to speak or.
Yeah, we've just got a blank screen here, so we're just getting some tech help. Some IT help.
We can see everyone here.
Oh, you've signed in for everybody.
That's Friday.
I signed in from there. Oh, I think. I'll just sign it.
30.
Oh, he's.
Oh, great. If we just hang fire, we've got some IT specialists coming. Sort it out for us.
That helps.
Q, I think we don't need to be live streaming this until the meeting starts.
Thank you.
Yep, done.
Awesome. Okay, kia ora everybody. Welcome to our meeting today. I've been tasked with just facilitating today's hui in the absence of our chair. So with that in mind, the only apology we have will be from Rex. We could note that. And then we move straight on to the next item on the agenda, which is the Positions Subcommittee. Joe, do you want to lead that off, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just thought that I would start looking at point 4. When I read it and it says mediation involves compromise in all parties, I thought that I might just quickly touch on the kind of compromises that we mean. With so many options on the table, what the TTPP committee presented was taken recommendations from hearings that had been across a variety of stakeholders and across the whole region, and it was best product at the time. And now that appeals have come, it actually gives the committee an opportunity to look at what other people are proposing. So when we talk about compromise, we're not saying we throw the baby out with the bathwater, but this is an opportunity for you to say, we really like what this appellant has raised, and we are not going to stand in the way of that particular point. So that's one thing that you could do, is just to say, actually, we're not going to contest this. We think that's a really good idea that this appellant has brought up. You might not want to move your position from where it is now, or a position that you set on something that's for you too important an issue often on a broad sense, we do not want this to be more restrictive on private property owners, say. So we are not prepared to move where these appellants have suggested something that might make it more restrictive. That's just an example. Or you might say, actually, some movement in this direction is fine by us, but this might be, as far as we'd be prepared to go. So it's when it talks about compromise, it's talking about negotiation there. And it's quite possible that a lot of the appeals that come through might have some really good ideas that resonate with you, and the position setting committee might direct the staff to accept a lot of the appeal points that have come, so that we actually don't put forward a different position from that to the commissioner who will be running the mediation. And then, as we've said before, the final result goes through to the Environment Court for them to determine what's accepted and what isn't. But just so that you understand, we're not putting the TTPP position isn't in a box where they go, it's this or nothing. So that's really good to remember as we're moving towards position setting. The staff, TTPP staff, any experts that we require, including legal representation, are all there to represent what you've come up with in your position statement. So we're not going to go off piste and say, oh, we don't like that, because that's never been the case for the staff. We've always been here to support and give advice and options to the committee. So that's what will continue to happen. We would not suddenly dream up a crazy idea that we think, oh, we've heard some stuff here, let's just pop that on the committee position. The committee position is the committee's position. It's not anything to do with staff, except for us to go and represent as best to our abilities to do that. And then just to say that the delegate is a completely separate thing from setting positions. So the TTPP committee, or a subcommittee of that, which Alice will talk you through what the options are for these, they set the position. So they're the holders of that position and the decision makers from a TTPP perspective as a respondent. So it doesn't mean you're going to get everything that you want, just like an appellant is not going to get everything that they want either. But set out what your position is, and all the delegate is like a for councils, it would probably be the planning manager, or if some other member of staff, CE, whatever, would be there throughout the process to sign off. So that's the sign off, is just saying that the position that we've been given to represent is being met by this compromise in front of us. So it's not making any more decisions on your behalf at all. So I'm just going to step back now and let Alice explain through those two, the subcommittee and the delegation options that we're here to make decisions on today, if that's all right.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Joe. Is there any, just before Alice you pop in, is there any questions or clarifications just on that first part from Joe, people, that you got any comments on that? No? Good as well.
Sorry, to the chair. I'd just like to ask Joe, are there any protocols around communicating with appellants prior to any hearings?
I will hand that over to Alice.
Yeah, happy to answer that. So is the question, can the TTPP committee members engage with appellants on their appeals outside of the formal process? Is that the question?
Yeah, prior to any hearings, yes.
So I guess the important thing to remember is that the committee position on the appeals needs to be determined by the committee as a whole, or by the position subcommittee. So I guess I would caution any individual members from going outside of that committee process and having conversations with appellants, because that's not individual members' role. You have to represent the view of the committee, and we won't know what that view is until the committee have had an opportunity to consider the appeals and the various points. So there's nothing to stop. Sorry.
Staff can have direct discussions
Yes.
with people prior to mediation once we have a position that's been
Once we
directed to us. Okay.
Correct, yep. So once we understand the committee's position, then staff will absolutely try to engage with the individual appellants and their representatives to attempt to resolve points where that's possible without the need for formal mediations.
Okay, thank you. Just one further question through the chair. Is the position of the committee, the initial position of the committee, is that formed by staff, planning staff, or is it formed actually by committee members themselves?
The process that we're proposing is that staff will prepare a report which summarises all of the appeal points relevant to a topic and makes a recommendation to the committee about the position that the committee could take in response to the points raised in the appeals. But ultimately it's for the committee to decide whether it agrees with the staff recommendation or whether it wants to take a different approach in response to the appeals.
Right, thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, Alice and I are jointly presenting this, so do you mind if I just pop in without asking to go through you? I'm happy either way.
Go for it, Jo.
Okay, great. It sounds as if from that there's the possibility that staff are going to tell you what to do, and that's not the case at all. Lois has started writing some position papers, and she says things like, I think that we could, that you probably would be happy if we just went back to these people and tell them that you have already agreed to a section 16 minor amendment, which is already in the plan since it was since the decisions version was notified, and just tell them that it's a moot point now because we've already done what they're asking for in their appeal, so that could be dealt with, and you get the opportunity to say yes or no. Please do that and give direction to the staff. So it's very administrative in the most part, where we're just saying we think these that fall into this category, you know, it's that sort of thing, and you might want to consider these options, that sort of thing. I hope that's helpful. Sorry, I'm a bit rambly.
All good. Thanks, Jo. Thanks, Alice. Alan.
A question for Alice. So on the other hand, what happens if committee members are approached by the people that are in the system? Are we to tell them to go away or go and see the staff, or what do we do?
I mean, you can hear what they have to say and you can bring that information back to the committee table. That's really helpful to, I guess, help inform the position that you decide to set. So, you can absolutely listen to them and bring that information back. I just caution you against making commitments to those people that you can't make as individual members.
I understand that. I just felt like we shouldn't talk to them at all. It's just...
Oh, sorry.
Right.
If people approach you, absolutely hear their concerns. But yeah, just know that we do have to work through the formal process to actually resolve things.
Okay.
Any other questions? No? Okay, well, I'll hand it over to you now, Alice.
Thank you. So I just wanted to be really clear at the outset today that there are two decisions that the committee needs to make, and they're quite different decisions. The first one relates to how the committee will set its position in response to the appeals, and we've been talking about that a little bit already, and I'd like to work through the options available to you in respect of that decision first. And then the second decision is really an administrative decision or an administrative delegation to give effect to your position in the formal mediation room. So they're two very distinct decisions, albeit related. So in respect of the first decision that you have to make, which is how you will respond to appeals and how you will set your position in response to appeals, what we have proposed is set out if now it's page 5 on my document. Under paragraph 21, there's a table 1 which has a number of options. The option that we're proposing, which I'll talk to first, is option 2, and that is to appoint a position subcommittee with rolling membership consisting of at least 2 members and excluding any members whose organisations are an appellant or a Section 274 party to a relevant topic. So we talked about that in the last meeting. Our proposal was to have a subcommittee set up. The membership will be made up of all of the committee members who are available to be on that committee and who haven't filed an appeal or joined an appeal as a 274 party in relation to that particular topic. And we're doing some work in the background to make sure that the papers that we bring will be separated out in a way that ensures that the most committee members possible are available to be involved in the position setting. There will inevitably be some appeal points where all of the councils have either appealed or joined as Section 274 parties, and in those few cases in our recommended option, it will only be the regional council representatives and the chair who are able to make up the subcommittee. There are other options available to you, and I think it's worthwhile to just talk through those and explain how we got to the recommendation around option 2. So option 1 in our list is that the position could be set by the entire TTPP committee. But we have the obvious issue there, which we've spoken about at length, where members can't represent both their interest as a appellant or a 274 party and the interest of the committee as a respondent to these appeals. And just to explain that a bit further, the position that the councils and iwi have taken is set out in their appeal documents. So that is the position of those councils on the decisions made by the TTPP committee. As members of those organisations, the councils, you've signed up to a position on behalf of your organisation as set out in your appeal. You can't then come to this table and take a different view without having already formed an opinion and subjecting yourself to allegations of bias and perceptions around conflict of interest. So it's just the nature of the beast, unfortunately, that you can't have different positions in respect of the same topic or issue. So that's the I guess the primary issue with the option 1 in that table. You would inevitably end up in a situation where members have to recuse themselves from position setting in respect of the appeals that they have joined. So I guess administratively that becomes quite a challenging exercise.
And also the quorum issue for...
Yes, the quorum issue. So a meeting of the full committee, Jo, you'll have to remind me the exact number. Is it 4?
At least 4 members from 6 of the different parties.
Yes.
Must be represented.
Some topics where we simply can't achieve that based on who has joined appeals and who has appealed. Option 3 is similar to option 2. So we would still we're still recommending to appoint a position subcommittee, which would consist of all of the members of the TTPP again, This one gets around the quorum issue because we would require a quorum of 2 on the position subcommittee, but it still has the issue with the need for individual members to recuse themselves when topics are before the subcommittee that they are party to with their own organisations. So again, administratively, it's difficult. Managing the information will be difficult, and for those reasons, it's not our recommendation. Option 4 is again to appoint a positions subcommittee and just to have a fixed membership. So an example of that would be that you appoint a position subcommittee, which in this case would have to be made up of the regional council representatives and the chair, because of the conflict issues that would arise with anyone else being party to it. And then option 5 is to simply delegate the power to set positions to the independent chair. So obviously that is removing the position setting function from the wider committee and just giving it to the chair as one member of the committee. So that has its limitations, obvious limitations. So for all of those reasons, the recommendation in this paper is to appoint a positions subcommittee with all members available to sit on it where they don't have conflict issues arising because of their individual organisations' appeal.
When you talk about those conflicts, Alice, can we just be very clear, maybe with an example there? If you are a member of the party that has an appeal, and it could be across, say, 6 different topics, on the other topics in TTPP, you are available to be, under option 2, you're available to be on the positions setting subcommittee. So because you have appealed it all doesn't recuse you from every single subcommittee. It just is dependent on the topics that you've appealed or joined appeals on.
Yeah. So for some of the perhaps more contentious topics, if I take what's an example,
perhaps
ecosystems and indigenous mining, mineral extraction. So mineral extraction, if you look at the appendix to the paper, you can see that Grey District, Buller District and Potini Ngaikahu are either appellants or Section 274 parties in respect of that topic. And so that leaves the members from the Regional Council and Westland District Council to make up the positions subcommittee that would set the positions in respect of those appeals. But other topic?
And the independent chair as well.
Sorry, and the independent chair, yes. Other topics, transport, only Buller District Council has joined that as a party to that topic, either as an appellant or a 274 party. So all of the other members would make up the position subcommittee, just noting that we would only require a quorum of 2. So just based on individuals' availability at the time that these position papers are coming through, it's just whether everybody has availability. So,
Mr. Chairman, sorry, Alice. I think that the original question from Joe was more to this point, which is just because, and I'm testing this with you, Alice, to advise here, but just because you have been an appellant or 274 on some points inside one of those bigger chapters, and acknowledging you cannot be a respondent on those appeal points, that by virtue doesn't mean that you are then cannot be the respondent on other matters in that chapter that you are not a appellant or 274 on. So just seeking your advice on that, because I think that was the original question from Joe. Thanks, Alice.
Yes, that's correct. And I mentioned earlier that we're working through at the moment to try and break down the position setting papers as much as possible to ensure that as many of you as possible are able to participate in the position setting for the various appeal points that need to be brought to the position subcommittee. So correct, you're not ruled out completely just because your organisation is listed in one of these topic columns. We're taking that a step further in response to the feedback that we received at the last meeting, to break it down as much as possible to involve as many of you as possible in the positions setting.
Thank you, Alice. And Mr. Chairman, just my last comment on this. I think from a couple of meetings ago, I think there was a conception that that you, by the virtue that you're an appellant or 274 on some matters, that you basically have to recuse yourself from just about everything. That is not the case. And as Paul Madgwick said at the last meeting, there is a lot of scope for members of this committee to be the respondent on many issues. Thank you.
I agree with those comments.
If I can, through the chair, that's why I've spoken to our lead of planning and registry at council on this, and with Barb. Option 3 to me provides an inclusive and transparent directional position setting for us all. It just comes down to how you determine that. Option 3 enables an opportunity for each committee member to contribute to the committee discussion, especially when directly related to specific individual district matters, over the challenges for the whole West Coast, to enable informed decision making on position setting. It also enables any perceived or actual conflict to be raised, discussed and mitigated openly, and it empowers the committee members to consider if a recusal is necessary by successfully managing perceived conflict, as the committee member can abstain from voting on the position being set. It depends on what you write into the setting as to how you frame this, and that is what we're coming to the table with, saying option 3, and we structure it accordingly. We all know there's perceived conflicts. It doesn't matter where you go. You could say the regional council was a perceived conflict because they are the consenting agent in some of these things. It just comes down to determination. So what's important is that we have the ability to sit at the table, recognise any conflict when it's there, and abstain from voting, but are involved in that discussion up until that point. I don't think any of us are.
The problem, Helen, is you're sitting at the table, and because you're sitting at the table, there is there's the possibility of the perception of conflict, and recusing on points where there should have been recusal may be missed. So option 2 provides better security around that issue of conflict.
I just see that option 2 excludes too much as far as participation.
Can I make
this is our last final ability to take some action in this whole structure. And if the decision we make today is going to be vital for us all going forward.
Mr. Chairman, as I understand it, and again, I'll defer to Alice, but by sitting at the table and taking part in the debate and attempting to influence the position, even though you don't vote, would open ourselves up for massive legal risk. That's the problem. Yeah, Alice, I wonder if you could comment, please.
That's absolutely correct. And I think the point that I'd like you to understand and perhaps try to grapple with in your own minds is when you're coming to the TTPP table to set a position where you've already taken a position on a particular matter in your own organisation's appeal, how can you then sit around this table and advance a different view as part of the discussion and ultimately the decisions that need to be made, if you already have stated a view somewhere else. Either way, you're undermining your own organisation's position, or you'll be undermining the TTPP's position by having a fixed view on a particular issues. And you're all absolutely entitled to represent your own organisation's interests through your appeals. But my question is, how do you then come to this table with an open mind to have open discussion when there's a very clear statement of your position already out there?
Through the chair.
Oh, sorry.
So can I just ask a rather naive question, and I'm quite happy if people look at me with the rolling of eyes. I'm happy for that. But just in listening to this conversation, I was of the understanding that when people come to this table as part of a group, as a committee, that, and I take your point, Alice, about how do you come when you've got a preferred position, but isn't that your job? When you come to the table, you have to acknowledge that position, which is fine, but then you get the rest of the table to manage the risk about the perceived. You're not there to advocate for your position. If I had said, I've actually, obviously I've got a perceived conflict in this one, I won't be participating in the conversation unless there's a point of information that you might seek from me, which I would be prepared to provide. The rest of the table should be responsible for managing that perceived conflict of interest. Now, I know you can take this both ways, and I take your point, Daryl, where you're saying, look, that people would perceive this just even being at the table as being a perceived conflict. But that would mean everybody around this table at every point would be stepping back. Like, we're too small, and we've all got perceived conflict somewhere. It's how we manage them that's the issue here. And I would have expected the table would take responsibility for managing that, so that if there was somebody advocating for that position, clearly advocating, that they would be shut down at the table, and it would be recorded. That's just my view, but I'm happy if that's not appropriate in terms of what you've been talking about.
If I could just say, I agree with Helen totally. This is our last chance. And I feel like I've been put on a committee and the commissioners have told us what to do. We've had to agree, and the staff told us what to do and had to agree. Now we're going to get to the end of it and we still don't have any say in it. It feels like we're just the rubber stampers. And when can we decide something? I know we're deciding as a committee, but we really haven't put our views forward, have we, Helen? Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Con. Yeah, look, I just think that maybe, and I'm new around this table too, but I think you've got to remember that when you're an appellant, you're in that mediation room advocating your position. So it's even though you may not be around the TTP table because of a perception of conflict or an actual conflict or whatever, you're not taken out of the equation. You're in the mediation room, advocating for your appeal.
We're not.
We're not.
No.
Team are, we're not.
Yes, yeah. But through the chair, and Colin, sorry, the reason I twigged on this was when you spoke last time about the difference between setting the direction for this, which is what this committee would be doing, is setting the direction of when, I think it came up about the lawyers, that when the lawyers go into mediation, they hold the line of what the direction has been set.
Normally in other mediation situations, it's the lawyer who has the delegations to the lawyer.
Yeah, correct.
So the lawyers,
and that's what made me think, I get that. We're not talking about when we get to the mediation. What we're talking about is how we set what the view here is for the direction for that person, that team to hold when they get to mediation. So what you're doing, my understanding, and I'm sorry if I've misunderstood it, but my understanding is that the reason this committee is setting the direction is so that they set, if you like, the writing instructions, if you want to be very blunt, to those teams to set up for the mediation. So that's what you're doing here, is what you're saying is if you're an appellant and you go into that mediation, you have an opportunity to speak on behalf of your organisation's position.
No. Well, yes, of your organisation.
Which is
That's
perfectly
right.
true. So
That's right.
that's what you do, right?
That's right.
But when this committee is around this table, it's setting the direction for those guidelines, whatever that would be. So you can step back from the table and let the committee set it. It's a different part of the process. It wasn't until you said that last week or at the last meeting, I thought, oh, I get it. This is the pre-set meeting, and then you go to the mediation and they do the process as you've been driven. Yeah.
I still consider that there is a significant risk in you being in a party, being an appellant, and being at the table in terms of this position setting, because of the perception, if not the actuality of conflict.
So through the chair, if we unroll that risk, because I'm trying to understand how do we mitigate that risk then? Where is the risk going to hit us? That the appeal could come back, or there could be a further what? What are we trying to mitigate?
It's always going to happen because we're all locals.
Alice.
Sorry.
Can I respond to that? So I think that perhaps a point I touched on in the last discussion was that our role is to represent the committee and the best interest of the committee, and we are now in a litigation setting where the committee has a particular position that it will determine and needs to be represented, and we might resolve these things through mediation where there is open discussion and a lot of work by all of the parties in the room, but we might not. And in that case, we're going to be ending up in a hearing setting. And in that case, the committee will incur cost, quite considerable cost in terms of preparation of expert evidence, in terms of legal preparation and your staff time as well. And it's really important that we're able to work with the group around the table with the confidence that the information that we're giving you and the advice that we're giving you is not being shared or not being known by those who are also actively participating in the other side of the ledger as appellants. Because in my role in representing the committee is to make sure the committee's interests are best protected. And in order to do that, my very clear recommendation is that you need to protect the information around position setting and ensure that it's not shared with appellant interests as well. So the risk is, I guess,
It does, doesn't it? Thank you. It comes down to risk appetite, doesn't it?
Alice is
Every
frozen.
council meeting's the same.
Alice is
Sorry,
frozen
Paul?
there, so I'm going to jump in while she's on freeze frame. The look, I'm sorry, but I disagree with Colin and Alice on this. We have our legal advice from Ngaitahu is that we can in fact do this. We can do this. The and option 3 serves our interests well, and it works elsewhere. This is not the TTPP. This is not the first rodeo for Ngaitahu. We're doing this all around the Te Waiponamu, and our lawyers have been involved with these before, and it's the common practice. And so there's a subtle difference, of course, between option 2 and option 3. And in option 3 is that it allows the individuals to and the collective to decide on the recusals. And we're all adults, and we can manage that ourselves. And I firmly believe that option 3 gives us more scope as a committee, as West Coasters, than option 2, which is too limiting, and it can also be more strictly applied. Option 2, and if it was strictly applied, we would be turfed out of many things. A lot of the appellant appeal points from Potaning Aito, for instance, are only minor, very minor matters. You know, some of them are you know, about definitions, etc. And those things will be they're not going to be argued. They're going to be settled in no time. But the only way to fix them, of course, is to appeal. And so that's why a lot of those points are by appeal. As for all of the topics, there's only coastal environment, sites and areas of significance to Māori, rural zones and activities, noise and natural hazards that have been appealed by all parties on the TTPP. Other than that, there is just no reason for us to be excluded, and in option 3 allows us as a committee to decide that. So I'm going to move it. I'm going to move option 3.
I'm happy to second.
Yep.
Just before we go there, I think does anybody not understand what Paul's saying? Is there any clarifications you need around that?
Well, Paul's really saying that 85% of the people are going to agree with us anyway. Are we going to agree with them?
Okay. So we've got that on the table. Paul and who was it? Helen?
Yep. Happy to.
Any comment? Any further discussion on that? No. Okay. Can I have some votes, please? All those in favour? So Chris is yes.
Greg's got his hand up.
Right.
Top left.
Greg, 1, 2. Paul, me, you. Everyone's. How many is that? Can people count? Sorry, put your hand up again. Sorry.
Sharon, got your hand up yet?
1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
Against? 2.
Yeah.
We're going to go with option 3.
Thanks.
Okay.
Well done.
Okay. Now the second decision, Alice.
Yes, thank you. So the second decision is covered off at paragraph 23 of the report. So this is now that you've decided how the position will be set in relation to the TTPP appeals, we need it is purely an administrative delegation so that there is somebody in the room at the mediation who can say, yep, this is consistent with the position set by the committee. You can sign it off. And that is a direction to me to sign a mediation agreement on behalf of the committee. So we've made a slight change to recommendation 3, and it is to delegate the authority to make decisions to settle any Environment Court appeals on the TTPP to a committee member who is not a party and or the project manager and or an independent contractor acting severally, provided that the decision aligns with the position set on the by the TTP committee. So it can be delegated to whomever you choose, provided that that person is available to attend the mediations and to work with my advice and with the technical planning advice to confirm that the position is consistent with that set by the committee. So they don't have discretion to change the position taken by the committee. We'll have some clear parameters set. And if we feel like we're at the outer limits of those parameters, then the matter will have to be brought back to the position subcommittee before a decision can be made. So this happens routinely with all of the councils I work with. It's typically a member of staff. Obviously, it's a little bit different for this committee, but you do have some rich staff representatives who you could delegate the power to. But yeah, I just want to emphasise that there's no ability for this person to change the committee's position. It is just an administrative delegation.
So this is quite a change from the recommendation we had last week. And so in that respect, it's good. As long as that delegation is basically decision making on the delegations reverts to the whole position subcommittee, which is what we just decided, then I'm happy with that. I think that is a good solution. As opposed to, I'm not sure about the and or, but I think we leave that decision making with the position subcommittee. Couple.
Sorry, just one point of clarification. So with the and ors, we will need to identify a particular person or position to hold the delegation. So while the recommendation is a committee member or the project manager or an independent contractor, it would be good to have a delegation to an identified person or role. So there are some changes in here. It's still available to you to delegate that function to the project manager, to the independent chair, to a particular person that you choose who can be there, but it would be good to identify who that will be. Sorry, that was just a clarification.
Any other questions? We happy with that? Okay, so we need some names, or we need a name. Yeah. For that, well, we can have. I guess we could have a few names, couldn't we? Alice.
Sorry, just
so make sure they're all in the room.
Just one more point to add, if it makes it any easier for you in terms of identifying names, and with the knowledge that it is an administrative function, we will require the project manager to attend all of the mediations. Joe will have a role to play in the mediation room in terms of recording what's happening, keeping track of the different the movement throughout the day, and working with us to help us in the mediation room. So if you need a person who you trust and who is in the room, then Joe will be there. Equally, I'm really happy for it to be anybody else who wants to come along to the mediations and sit through them and work with us. So just it's basically a time and cost consideration for you.
Comments, please.
Alice, if I may, if we go back to a member of the committee, a la the independent chair, the project manager, or yourself, it's not dissimilar to what we discussed last week. I guess, Paul, the point you raised around Mana Mohaki and decision at place, you're obviously happy that the changes that have been made today around decision making and that decision being then taken forward as an administrative step, you're happy with that?
Or he's second.
He's moving.
Is he
You
moving?
happy with that, Paul?
Oh, sorry, that was a question for me. Oh, that's why I'm looking blank.
So last week, the issue or challenge was whereby someone who doesn't call this place home was going to be set for making ultimate decision. Obviously, we're hearing today that decision is made by the decision setting subcommittee. The administrative process of then taking that forward. Mana Mohaki returns. You're confident and happy with where we've landed?
Yes, I think so. Yes. Yeah, because that does give us all the opportunity to, where appropriate, to have a say in there. As I say, we're all adults, and we know when to recuse ourselves, and we can certainly figure that out. So, yep, mana motaki.
Well, Joe's there all the time, otherwise we've got to hire someone else, don't we? None
of us are in a position to be in that.
Very simple.
Yeah. So just on that, in terms of Joe's going to be at them all. I mean, there was a comment around having Rex there, but we'd have to fly him in, blah, blah, blah. So from my point of view, I don't know, I'll test the room on this, but, we've either got Alice or Joe from my perspective is Anybody else got any different view on that?
Financially, it'd have to be Joe.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree. We need to keep the costs down. I wouldn't be in favour of paying somebody else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the same. I think it's important that either Joe or Alice.
Okay.
Yeah, I would be in favour of Joe.
Okay. Well, I think that's pretty unanimous, Joe, so you can pick that up, you or Alice, yeah?
Okay, as long as you're happy for me to change that recommendation to name legal counsel and the project manager, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Everyone's comfortable with that, yes? If they're not, then say something, otherwise we're rocking on.
Yep.
We're all happy, we're all happy with that.
Just to be clear, that is that's Joe, and or Alice.
Yep.
And the members of the TTPP committee, a member of the TTP committee who is not compromised in the appeals. Just to make sure that's
or do we put another or?
Yeah.
From our perspective, what I was talking to Paul, it was Alice and Joe.
Attend all meetings.
Because they attend all meetings, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you saying if anybody else is, can we even do that though? I suppose we can, yeah. Are you saying we add whoever else is available to that list as well?
Well, that's what it says here in the recommendation 3 anyway. Delegate the authority to make decisions to settle, blah, 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 to a TTPP committee member who is not a party to the appeals and or to the project manager. So I'm just making sure that it is that, because if it was Alice and Joe, no, I wouldn't be happy, because that's, again, it's taken the West Coast out of the final solution of that. But recommendation 3 makes it clear. I just want to make sure that is carried through.
It is a formality. It's an administrative part of the process, right? Yeah. Can that work, Alice, Joe? What Paul's saying, or?
You can make the delegation to a TTPP committee member who isn't conflicted, but in order for that committee member to then exercise the delegation, they would need to attend all of the mediation and be there to exercise the delegation. So it's, if it's not necessary, it's because Joe and I will be at every mediation. It's unlikely that we would need to call on a committee member as well to exercise the delegation, because the delegation could be exercised by either or one of us. So yes, you can make the delegation, but whether it's necessary, it's really a question for you.
So why then is, I have to ask them, why then is the recommendation 3 worded the way it is? To delegate
it was a
authority.
recommendation. We, off the back of the last meeting, we wanted to put forward a recommendation that had a number of options in it, so that there was options for the committee to consider. I guess acknowledging that there would be this discussion today, and we would hope to provide greater clarity around the fact that it is just an administrative role, and give you comfort that somebody who is already going to be attending the mediation could exercise the delegation on your behalf. So we put it there as an option for discussion.
A rotating committee member so that no one's tied down for the whole lot of all the hearings.
But it is a more formality because positions being skipped.
Yes, but it says you have to attend.
Yeah, if you want to be the delegate, you need to attend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of that
particular
part.
Yes.
Is that the case? Because that's not what we were told by our legal advice, Francois, was that you don't have to sit through every hour of every topic of every appeal. And there will be times when the chair of the regional council can represent us there, but there will be other times when he can't be there. But there are lots going down that list of topics. There are lots of opportunities there where, for instance, the Mayor of Westland is unencumbered and could also sit in that role. I still think that, well, that was just an example, but I mean, it's a matter of managing it, and that's what we've got a project manager for. It's just, who is available. This is the topics that are coming up. Westland and Buller, you're a compromise because you are subject to an appeal on that topic. However, Regional Council in Westland, you're not. Who's available? And I think we can manage that, and that's the advice that we got, was that you do not have to sit there day in, day out for the whole endurance course, but we can do it on a topic by topic, and that's what I'm recommending, is that we should do it by topic, and the positions committee makes that call. But it's with the other one delegation is the project manager, because she'll be there.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry, Barb. First Barb, then Helen.
Sorry, Paul. So through the chair, Paul. What's the problem we're trying to solve here? Is the problem that there's a view that you're sharing, that you believe that somebody that's representative that is on the coast and the coast should have a sign off, like a sign off as an administration process through this? Or is it, I'm just trying to work that out, because if you've got the project manager and the legal counsel and all they're doing is signing off on the position that's done, is it that you want someone visible from the local region to have had their signature on the paper? Is that what you're trying to achieve here?
Well, Barb, it's not just the matter of a signature on a piece of paper. I've been in these mediations before, and it's a matter of, there are subtleties that arise during mediation, and those where, the little bits of give and take here and there, and that's the call that's made that we're delegating to sign off on. And so if that's the case, then as a West Coaster, I expect that West Coast Voice will be involved in that, and giving it to Alice and Joe, with all due respect, not West Coasters.
Yeah.
There has to be a West Coast voice in there.
Okay. So then what you're saying, because that's not what I heard from the table. The table here, what I heard was that people understood that those two representatives are there through every meeting, through every hour of the meeting. People around the table seem to be content with that, because they express the view that it would seem unreasonable that people here had the time to be there, to be through the whole hour of the meeting. What you're saying is that you would want someone from the committee to be attending for those particular items, like a roster system, and then they would sign off on those. Is that because that's what it would mean administratively, if that's the process that you're asking for? That's all.
What I'm suggesting is that it be not on a rotational basis, but on a case by case, topic by topic, and it will require management, but that's what we've got a project manager for. But it's simply that they do not have to sit through the whole matter, and
they would.
Well, that's not the. Well, with respect, Helen, that's not the advice that we got from our lawyer. You don't have to sit through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. No, I appreciate that, Paul, but I'm just trying to get my head around it. If I was to sit in, I would want to be there for the whole topic to get my head around.
Oh, yes, for the topic. Yes, for the topics. Yes,
but we need to be crystal clear. We're talking two things here. One, we're talking topic, and the other, we're talking the whole file. There's a distinct difference between commitment.
I'm not talking about the whole file. I'm talking about
topic.
Just
topic by
Alice,
topic, and that's.
Hold on a minute, mate. Alice might be able to give us some clarity.
Yeah. Just to clarify, so the person who exercises the delegation needs to be available to attend the mediation for the whole topic, not for the whole TTPP. So
correct.
Yes, correct. It's just the topic. And you could, sorry, just if it helps to cut through things, you could make the delegation, this is not the only opportunity you have to make this delegation. So you can make a decision today and you can change who you delegate the power to as the appeals progress. So if there is a particular topic where you want to have the delegation exercised by a particular member of the committee, just noting that it is administrative, then that's absolutely fine. If they want to come along and sit with us and be involved, it's absolutely fine. But it is, yeah, the give and take in terms of position is clearly within the parameters that have already been set by the positions subcommittee. We won't be going beyond those.
Cool.
Yeah, just Alice and Joe, if that delegation would need to be on the basis that if there wasn't Paul a committee member who was available, then the delegation would have to then go to one of our administrative team, because there may be occasions where no member of this committee is available to sit through that topic. So we then need to have that fallback position of Joe or Alice.
Perhaps in response to that, my recommendation would be that you delegate the power to the legal counsel, to the project manager, and to a TTPP committee member to be determined at an appeals subcommittee. And we might just have to tweak the wording on that. But it just means that the delegation is in place for Joe or I to exercise the delegation where we need to. But if you decide on a particular topic that there's a particular committee member that you want to have attend and exercise the delegation, then that's available to you too. But I guess in the ordinary course of these things as we progress, because bearing in mind settlement will happen not only in the mediation room but also through direct negotiations as well. So where that is happening, it would be helpful to have that delegation sitting with Joe or the legal representative so that we can keep things moving. And you won't necessarily be involved in all of the direct negotiation discussions, obviously with the caveat that we'll have our position set already.
Thanks, Alice. That's what I have been arguing for, is that I'm happy to give the delegation to Joe and to yourself because you'll be there day in, day out for this. But on topic by topic basis, though, we have to leave the door open for a member of the TTPP committee who's not compromised as an appellant that can come in and represent the TTPP committee in that final step. And that's all I'm trying to ensure that we do, which is what recommendation 3 started out as saying.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Paul. So I think that's probably the direction we're going to travel in. Yeah. If everybody's happy with that.
Yeah, I'll move it.
Okay. Seconder, Helen, all those in favour?
Right.
Against? Carried. Thank you. Any other business, Joe, or are we done?
I've got 2 very quick ones. Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Chair. Does anyone want to see the press release that has been written about budgets that you requested last week? Paul has seen it because he's quoted in it. And I've got approval of the chair, but if any of you would like to see it before we send it out, please let me know now and I will send it to you.
Should be sent to all everybody.
Pop it out to everyone, Joe, just have a nosy at it so we're aware of it when it comes up.
Absolutely. Happy to do that. That will come to you shortly. And the other thing is, our next meeting, or your next meeting, is on the 4th of March and will probably be quite a short committee meeting. So I'm proposing that so maybe an hour for committee meeting, you've got 3 hours in your calendar, that we set 2 hours aside to start looking at position papers afterwards. It will be a separate meeting invitation. Yes, Alice? Oh, I can't
Sorry,
really
I
see
was
Mark.
going to leave, so yeah, sorry.
Fine, thanks. Yeah, and so we can set up a separate Zoom meeting for that as a confidential first meeting of the position subcommittee, and we'll let you know ahead of time what topics are going to be discussed, and definitely have as many people as possible available for that first one. We're going to cram the very first paper full of as many things that the most people can participate in. Are you comfortable with that?
Everyone okay?
Yep.
Yeah, good as gold. Good as gold,
Thank
Joe.
you. Okay, we'll follow up
Excellent.
on that then. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, team. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Linesman. Thank you, Ball Boys.